Can we take $75 and turn it into a totally awesome keyboard? Let's find out. I like building these budget boards and giving you the best opportunity to make it yourself, so let's go to Amazon to do that. We should find something pretty easily. So right here, this is standing out to me right here, the CIY GK68. This looks like a hot swappable keyboard for $37.90. All right, then we're gonna need some switches. Milky yellow, hey, I like that. Can we find that for any cheaper? I've never used yellow. Here we go. Gatoron Milky Yellow switches, 23 bucks. Milky Yellows? It sounds gross though. Milky Yellow? Ugh, hopefully they sound good, but it sounds gross. And then for some keycaps, IAOI, PBT 60% keycaps, 61 keycaps, $10 for keycaps, plus $24 for switches, $37.90, 38 bucks for the board, $72. We've even got a few dollars left over. But thankfully, through the magic of video editing, here are the parts right here. It's almost like we planned this out ahead of time. Unboxing the keyboard, we can see that it's a pretty bare bones kit. We don't even get a cable included. Thankfully, it is a wireless keyboard, does come with a wireless dongle, but personally, I always have a wire attached from my keyboard to my computer. We do get a combination keycap and switch puller and a little keyboard broom. I've never seen anything like this with a keyboard before, and it might be the most adorable accessory that I've ever gotten. Seriously, I love it. The keycaps are about as quality as you'd expect from this price point and from a set that shows up jumbled into one little box, but they do look like they'll work, and I kind of like the black and red scheme. Also, the Gatoron Milky Yellow switches are new to me, but once we get these prepped, lubed, and installed, they should sound and feel fantastic. First up, let's disassemble a case and see what we are really working with. I'm really impressed with the setup here. They included both a nice little rubber layer between the PCB and the plate, and even included a small amount of foam on the bottom. I'm not sure that it will do much in the long run, but it's nice to see that they tried. One thing that I don't like after we've cracked it open is I don't like that there is no USB-C at all. There's no USB, period. We will have to use the included wireless dongle, and we will need to source some AAA batteries when we go to use this. All we're really going to do today is hit the top plate with a little bit of red paint to really bring out the color of these keys. We don't want to overdo it on the paint, but because this top metal plate does already have sort of a coating on it, we'll do a couple initial layers of primer to make sure that the paint really holds. While this is drying, let's get up to the next part, lubing the switches. For this, we'll crack everything open and begin applying some G-lube to the moving parts. My philosophy on lubing switches is less is more, and much like any mechanical systems, we really only need to focus on the parts that will actually come into contact with each other. Thankfully, I found a new hour-long explanation of my favorite TV show of all time, and I've been saving watching it for this specific scenario. And it's so nice to be lubing Gatoron switches again. Those Otemu from the last few builds were fine, but they were really killing me, as I don't have the tools to open them as easily as I do Gatoron. Next up, let's take care of the stabilizers. I think this time I'm going to go a little easier on the dielectric grease, because last time we did this, I absolutely went overboard. That's because we were running out of time, you know. Needing to sand off a bad hydro dip job will do that to you. I'm also very thankful that these are not pre-lubed from the factory. The last two modifications I've done involved Keychron boards, and while those boards are great by themselves, Keychron way overdoes the factory lube job, and it just makes everything a huge mess. Here, we'll lube up the housing, hit the bars with some grease, and we're basically good to go. Everything is looking so good at this point. Checking back on the top plate, we can go ahead and apply that red paint. I decided to go with Candy Apple Red, because if it's good enough for Iron Man, it's good enough for us. Back to the main case, I want to help out with the hollowness I already know is going to happen because of this being a cheap case. And today we're going to try something new. We're going to mix and pour silicone into this board. It should add some much needed heft and make it sound so much better. There should be no hollowness because it's going to be mostly filled up with rubber. You simply take the two parts, mix them in a cup, and pour it into the case. I did add some gaffer's tape to places where I think the goop might escape, so hopefully we'll be all good. As one thing starts drying, another is finishing drying, so let's hit that top plate with a nice matte clear coat to finish out the painting, and thankfully, we didn't ruin anything about the paint this time around. It's the small victories. Whew, okay, we've got everything prepped and ready to go. The silicone is cured. The paint looks fantastic. I think it's gonna look really good with the keycaps. There's just one more thing we kind of got to prep really quickly. When we did the silicone, you'll see that we taped some things off so we didn't get it to leak out, but it did kind of cover up the on-off switch. So let's kind of cut a spot out for that real quick. And then we should be good to get everything else assembled and ready to go. I'm very excited. I think this keyboard is gonna turn out amazing. Okay, boom. Coming together really well. I was kind of nervous that that would not fit in there. Fit everything in there. We need to get the stabilizers on there. Sounds good, looks good. The only thing that kind of sucks about doing paint jobs like this, you do have to be a little careful with the stabilizers as you're putting them back on, because they can absolutely scratch your paint. But once you get them on, you can't really tell anyway. I mean, see, check that out. The board totally back together. Man, that looks so good. Obviously, I thought the white and the red were going to look good together, or I would not have designed the board this way. But it looks so much better than I thought it was going to. Okay, boom, look at that. That is a dense, like that really gives it some heft when you add that silicone. I'm really impressed by that. And we had one left over. How lucky is that? Man. That already sounds so good. Okay, let's start these. Okay, so executive decision made. I hate these keycaps. So you can see that we physically built the board with all the parts, but I hate these keycaps and I refuse to make a board with these on it because they're straight garbage. So no, do not buy these keycaps, but I'll overlay a different set of keycaps that you could buy that will work with this, that will keep us on budget. And it does not look exactly like what I wanted, but it still looks pretty good. So let's see, the most important part of a keyboard build is we've done all this stuff. How does it sound? So everything sounds pretty good. If I were to totally redo this again, I'd probably work a little bit more on the spacebar stabilizer. There's still a little bit of sound there. Maybe if we added some tape to the plate or the PCB itself, it would sound a little bit better. And if you like this video and you're trying to stay on a budget, here's my video upgrading a $10 keyboard. Click, 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 click. Thanks for watching.